Okie dokie, boys and girls. So today we have a pull workout, but I'm gonna do some light activations on the planche on push first, because like I mentioned in the previous skill training, I kind of want to up the frequency of my planche practice so that I have more opportunity for my body to adapt to the planche and to make it stronger. So I'm not fully recovered yet from the previous planche training, but still, like doing these small little light, that's the key, light activations, I feel like they will add up in the long run, And today I'm gonna do the same, basically, doing some assisted planche here. I have the band, just 3 sets of short sets, completely not to the max. I wanna stay below 30% of intensity, basically, just to feel something, And then after that, I'm gonna go back or go forward, I guess, to the pull workout, which is gonna be the frontlever pull-up workout. Now, it's a 5-set workout that I've been doing for a long time, and it actually, recently got me a new PR on the frontlever pull-ups of 25 reps. And I knew that the workout was working, but I didn't know it was working that well. Like, this workout actually got me insanely strong. So I'm gonna do it one more time before heading to Japan in a couple days. But yeah, I'll explain in a minute when I get to it how that one works. First, let's do some activations. Okay, so the little planche activation has been done. Now it's time to move on to the frontlever workout. Actually, I have the weight on already, but I need to do a warm-up set first. But I'll explain how this workout works, because it's one of my favorite, and it's quickly become one of my favorites because it just works so damn well. So, all right, that's the quick. Holy shit, I feel my back still. All right, so it's gonna be light today, but this workout consists of 5 sets of pull-ups. I would say 3 to 5 sets. Try to do it minimum. The minimum is 3 sets, and you're gonna pick a certain amount of reps. For example, 8. And even if you're not able to do 8 reps continuously, you just take a bit of a rest. Let's say you're on the second set and you're only able to do 5 reps, like when you're supposed to get 8, right? You just take a bit of a rest, like 10 to 20 seconds, and you go again. And basically, instead of changing your volume, you try to change the difficulty. Time and time and time again, you try to up the difficulty, I should say. Changing, you shouldn't lower the difficulty, right? You want to progressively overload, but bit by bit, you want to make the same volume more difficult. So at first, you're doing your sets, you're splitting them up, and then later on, perhaps you'll be able to do 5 sets of 8 pull-ups, just straight like that, without any rest. And of course, this doesn't have to be like a normal, like a straight front lever pull-up. It can also be a tuck front lever pull-up or whatever. You can even do it with regular pull-ups if you want. But basically, the premise is that you will increase the difficulty. So, at first you're doing your reps in the advanced tuck progression, let's say, right? And then you're doing a couple reps in one leg progression, and then the remainder in advanced tuck. And then, eventually you might be doing advanced one leg front lever or straddle front lever or full front lever for the first couple reps, and then do some drop sets or take pauses in between. But basically you're trying to increase the difficulty, right? That's the point. And then when you get to a difficulty that you're happy with, so for example, for me, I was doing this with front lever, 4 kilos on my waist. I was quite happy with the difficulty, so I decided to increase the reps and then just go again, because suddenly I'm doing 9, 10 reps, and it's way more difficult because I'm doing that extra rep. And again, I have this room, I have this volume to work with that I can fill up with difficulty until I get used to it, until I'm able to do it clean, until I don't really feel like it's a challenge anymore. And just by repeating that process, taking a set amount of reps and trying to do those reps with as difficult of a progression as possible, I just got so fucking strong in the front lever pull-up. It's insane. And yeah, that's why I really love this workout. Afterwards, if you want to get strong at the hold as well, which I guess if you're trying to unlock the front lever, you would do this with like a tuck pull-up, right? Or an advanced tuck pull-up. Afterwards, you can do like 1 or 2 sets of holds, or you can, you take your last 2 sets of the pull-ups and you superset them with some presses or a hold, right? There are ways to incorporate holds in this training, because if you want to get strong at the training, this is going to give you a very good base of strength. But of course, you have to translate into what you're training for specifically, which is the hold or the press or whatever, right? So if you're doing it for the hold, yes, you can do 3 to 5 sets of pull-ups, but also make sure, either do a superset on the last couple sets with the holds, or just 2 separate sets, 1 or 2 of holds and presses. Right. So that's the workout. Let's get going. I was feeling sore as hell, so yeah, I don't know how this is gonna go. Let's see. All right, 8 reps is gonna be good enough of a challenge today. I might try some wide pull-ups because those are more difficult. I might try some non-false grip pull-ups, anything that's a different variation. It's gonna be more difficult, right? And it's not only like, yes, I have weight, but weight is not the only progression. A front lever progression, advanced tuck or one-legged, is not the only progression. You can also make things more difficult by changing your grip, and basically you get to play around as much as you want with the difficulty. And then when you feel like, okay, now I'm satisfied, right? Then you can increase the reps. So yeah, let's go. Alright, so I've gotten considerably weaker. I'm struggling with 8 reps when I used to struggle with 12. So that's quite a big difference. Now in the later sets, what you'll notice is your power is gonna go away, and then basically you can lower the difficulty a bit again to compensate for it and do your reps anyway. So let's go. Okay, the last set, I'm gonna do a superset, and I'm gonna basically do my pull-ups and then do some presses and some holds. But the point of the holds is not to trash it like you do with the pull-ups. It's more to have like a clean activation. So it's kind of lower intensity as far as that's possible after already doing pull-ups. But trying to do it clean, trying to not force yourself to kind of find a flow and basically stop when it burns when the foam starts breaking down. So that being said, the pull-ups might still be bad form. Let's go. Okay, so I'm gonna do one final set of just purely holds and presses here. This is optional, you know. You feel if you have energy left or not, and then you do one or two of these extra sets. But, you know, if you have that much energy left that you feel like you can still do 5 sets of presses and holds, well, then I've got bad news for you. You should have tried harder on the pull-ups, you know. If you do those pull-ups and you really challenge yourself, you're not gonna feel like doing more and more sets of presses afterwards because your power is gonna be gone, right? Your power is gonna be diminished and you're gonna feel like, holy shit, these sets don't hold a lot of meaning anymore. So for me, usually when I'm done with the pull-ups, right, on a light day, I don't do anything extra. I might do like one superset on the end, or maybe one set of just holds and presses, but without a superset. But on holy shit, on light days, you know, basically I will not spend a lot of extra energy. And even on heavy days, right, I might do one or two supersets at the end, and then one or two extra sets of these holds. But rarely do I do 3 sets, especially, you know, if they're longer sets. Maybe I'll do like on like very rare occasions some heavier sets, sub max, you know, not going to my max at all, allowing me to have more sets, but usually I go quite close to my maximum and I do only 1 or 2 sets. And is it the best way to train your front lever? I don't know, perhaps it's not, you know, but for me it works. For me it's a good balance between building muscle, building power, like really actual power in the front lever, feeling light in the front lever. And also time-wise, it's very efficient because, you know, I'm doing 6 sets in total of this. 1 set every 4 minutes. That's 20 minutes and a bit, you know. That's insane. A small warm-up, so let's say 25 minutes. That's very time efficient. So I think it's like a good mix of everything, right? Not all of us are able to spend 2 hours on training. Some of us are able to spend 2 hours on training like me, but you know, you're also going for a run, you're doing some planche, right? And you want just to do a bit of everything, and this gives you a good bang for your buck. But anyway, let's do this set. Okay, that's it for today's workout. I forgot to mention, but I woke up today at 74.5 kilos. What the fuck? That's an all-time high by half a kilo, like a pound for you Americans. 75 kilos, how much is it even in pounds? I don't know. Like 165, 170? Oh, I bet I have some sick fucking sausages of muscles growing on my back right now. Yeah. But yeah, let's see how that keeps up in Japan. Like Japanese food usually is very low in fat unless you go for like fried stuff. But it's like quote unquote healthy, you know, not that much fat, which means less calories. And I'm gonna be walking a lot, so I don't know if I will be able to keep up my weight. I also won't have a scale, but at least I'll try my best, you know. But anyway, for this workout, very happy with how it went, of course, and you know, a couple more tips, or maybe one more tip, yeah, for the people trying it. You saw that I was using weight on my hips, and weight is just another progression. You know, you have tuck, you have advanced tuck, you have one leg, you have straddle, you have half lay, you have full front lever, you have all these progressions, and so many times, like you see people struggling to go from one progression to another. And you know, in those times when you feel like you're struggling to get to the next progression, like try to look for different progression, right? Do the next progression with band assistance, or do your current progression with some weight. Do a different variation, do a different grip, whatever, right? But I particularly like weight because it's one allows you to do the progression for the movement that you want to do without changing it, right? If you put weight on your hips and you're doing an advanced tuck front lever, it's still an advanced tuck front lever, but the weight evenly distributes extra load on your entire body. So when you then take away the weight, you feel light as a feather. It's Goku training, you know? Goku puts 1 ton on each arm, or 2 tons, what the fuck was it, right? And then he removes it, and he becomes fast as hell. He becomes light as hell. That's the same, like, it's anime, but it's also real life. You know, if you're struggling to get to the one-legged front lever from the advanced tuck, right? Well, try that. Try adding some weight to your advanced tuck. And it might just be the edge that you need, because when you do that for a couple of weeks and then you take away the weight, you're gonna feel light as a feather. Not only physically, but also mentally. You're like, whoa, holy fucking shit. You know, this feels light. When you're used to that weighted front lever, and you get back to your original unweighted, you know, body weight volume, and then you remove it, right? Like, it's insane. You feel like you're floating, and that's what you want to have. And it's in those moments that you're floating that perhaps, you know, you can attempt your one-legged front lever, you can attempt your front lever, and you're gonna feel more powerful than ever before. And that's kind of how you can, you know, do these progressions. If, you know, the standard progression, the gap between standard progressions is too big, you can still close it, you know, by doing these other things, by doing the band assistance, by doing band resistance, by doing weight assistance or resistance, right? You can do all of these different things. And that's kind of like, I think why this workout works for me is because I'm doing the same volume every time, right? Nothing changes regarding that. I have the same volume to recover from every time. And I can just gauge, I can aim for a certain intensity. Like, oh, okay, you know, aim for an intensity where you could maybe do 1 more set of 8 pull-ups, right? And by aiming for that intensity, you know, kind of having to adjust yourself, you will see gradually, you know, if you do the same difficulty of movement every time, it will become easier and easier and easier. Your form will become better, which is good, but also if you want to make the intensity higher again, you know, you can increase difficulty, and bit by bit, you know, the difficulty increases, you're progressing. Advanced tuck front lever pull-ups become one-legged front lever pull-ups for 2 reps, and then you drop down to advanced tuck. And then before you know it, you're doing a full set of one-legged front lever pull-ups, right? And I just think that's why for me it works. Like, it's so fucking simple. I do this workout, well, it depends, right? I do it once every 6 days, and I think it's good. I train front lever once every 3 days. So every 2 trainings I will do this training. And then basically, in between the other workouts, I focus a bit more on the holds, I focus a bit more on different movements, to just let the pulling muscles, the actual pull-up muscles, to let those rest a little bit. But yeah, that has worked tremendously for me. So perhaps try it out and see what happens. But anyway, I'm gonna have a shower and some breakfast and see you tomorrow for a push day. So let's go.